Hi Layla, hope you're having a great week and that you are feeling totally back to normal. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week and hope you've been enjoying your spring break. So we are going to get right into it. All of the videos that I got from you look awesome. So very nice work over the last week. We'll start with the theory. So it looks like we maybe haven't had a chance to do it yet. We'll just do a quick review and then we'll take care of this page for next time. So we had page 54, and this is starting to look at transposing, right? Which is just the idea of taking a melody from one key and moving it either up or down into a new key. So what you're going to do for me is they've given you an example here of a little melody in the key of C, and then they show you what it looks like if we move it to a G position, right? So from C to G, everything just moves up by a fifth. Or you can look and say, okay, well, if I'm starting here on C and then I go up to D, that's going up by a second, right? So if I'm starting on G and I go up a second from G, that gives me A. So you want to really pay attention to what your intervals are doing here. And then remember, it should just sound the same, but a little bit higher or lower than before. Kind of like we can sing the happy birthday song, starting lower, starting higher, but it will always sound like the happy birthday song, right? So down here, they want you to take that same melody and put it in the F pentascale position, or the F pattern right here. Now remember, in the first 5 notes of the F pentascale, it's not all white keys, right? So you will have to pay attention because that B that you run into sometimes in the melody won't actually be a B. It'll need something to alter it a little bit so that the melody still sounds the same when we start on the note F instead of starting on G or on C. On the bottom section, you're doing the same thing, but this time they just give you the melody in the key of G, and now they want you to move it to the key of D. And again, same idea. You're going to have one note in the D pentascale pattern that is not going to be a white key. It needs to have something done to it to alter it a little bit so that it still sounds like the same melody if we're starting on D instead of on G. So we'll give that a try for this week. If it's kind of tricky or you're not sure if you're getting it right, that's totally okay. Transposing can be kind of a weird thing to get used to at first for sure. So if you run into any trouble, we will just go over it together when I see you here next time and make sure that that all makes sense, okay? All right, now we are gonna do a new composition prompt for this week. This week, our prompt is going to focus on what the left hand is doing. We're going to use a specific pattern for the left hand in our song for this week. So the pattern itself is root, up a fifth. Oh, sorry, I'm thinking of a different pattern. Put the notes down out of order. Okay, scratch that, we're going to start over. We still are going to start with the root. This would be with your pinky, root, we go up a fifth, and then we go up to the octave from where we started. So for example, if I'm starting on C, I'm going to play C and then use my second finger on G, and then my thumb goes up to C again. So C, G, C. Now this is a really common pattern that we see in a lot of pieces, but we're just going to start trying to get used to it here in your own piece. Now you can start it anywhere, right? I can go from C, G, C, down to A, down to F, maybe up to G, right? Sounds really familiar. Now, if we want to throw in some right hand can do anything. Maybe right hand is just going to be kind of simple, almost like a lullaby. All right, could be really easy like that. Or maybe I want to make right hand a little bit more repetitive. Something like that, right? Or maybe I want right hand to move around all over the place. Something like this, right? And I'm just kind of throwing ideas out there, okay? But you're gonna make this, sorry, my computer's going to sleep. Don't do that, okay. So you're gonna make this whatever you want it to be, but you notice I'm using this pattern in the left hand the whole time. Root, fifth, root. Now you don't have to go in that order either. Maybe you wanna start on I don't know, on D. And maybe you want to go back and forth with it. Something like this. That could be cool, right? Something like that could be fun. Or if you want to repeat it but at a faster speed. Something like this. That could be kind of fun too. Or if you maybe want to keep the same combination of notes, like if I'm still doing C, G, C, I could move it up. Right? I can do different octave combinations there. And all of these are things that you already do really well in your compositions. So we are just going to make sure that we factor in this particular left hand pattern, okay? Wherever your starting note is, you're then going to go up a fifth and then up to the octave to complete where you started from. So for example, that would be C, G, C. Or if we started on A, it would be A, E, A. Right, so it's always just that octave span plus the fifth in the middle, okay? So we'll give that a try this week and then see what you come up with on Friday. Alrighty, our F scale is not the easiest, is it? You're doing a great job with practicing it so far. I know that right hand especially is so tricky when you are really coming down. I feel like going up, it's fairly okay for the most part, but coming down can be really tough to just keep that straight, right? So remember, when your right hand is coming down, we are starting with that fourth finger on F at the top, which is, again, just kind of a weird thing to have to get used to, but you did that correctly in your video. So we play the first four notes, F, E, D, C, and then it's your fourth finger over, and let me go ahead and bring this over, and I will play through that whole thing for right hand here. So just got to make sure it's actually in the shot. There we go. All right. So we start 4, 3, 2, 1, right? And then the fourth finger crosses over to the B flat. 3, 2, 1. And then here, this is where it's different, right? This is where we use the third finger to cross over this time. 4 over to B flat again to finish it off, okay? So when you're coming down, we have 4, 3, 2, 1, and then again, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 3, 2, 1 this time, and 4, 3, 2, 1 again. So if it helps, you will only use your fourth finger on that top F, right? Kind of the wacko one. And then you will use your fourth finger on B flat, okay? So we're gonna hold on to this one more week. Like I said, you're making great progress with it. It is not easy at all, but let's see if we can get this feeling a little bit more comfortable if we spend just a little bit more time on it this week, okay? So you can also do a little bit of hands alone practice if you would like to kind of break that up. Make sure that you're remembering exactly which fingers go in which spots when you just do each hand independently by itself. That can be helpful sometimes too. And it can kind of break it up so you're not always having to slog through doing it with both hands together. Or sometimes you can try practicing the scale coming down and then going up. We always go up and then down. But maybe you just want to work on the coming down part one day, which is totally fine. So look for ways you can kind of try out some different stuff in your practice so it's not quite so repetitive, especially with scales. That can be helpful, right? All right, we are looking good there. Let's go on to the minuet. So minuet is sounding awesome. We are almost ready, I think, to try putting that ending section with both hands together, but let's wait on that until next time. I think especially for that right hand, we could maybe use a little bit more time just to get more comfy with what your hand has to do. There's a lot of movement. We've got a lot of new patterns and stuff going on there. So we'll leave the ending hands alone for another week, mostly for the right hand, getting really strong and secure in its new parts. The first two lines look great. So we are going to now start including the repeat for the first section, okay? If you notice, you have a repeat sign at the end of your second line. So we're gonna start getting in the habit now of playing through this section twice in a row. That way, we won't be taken by surprise when we get the whole piece together and we're all of a sudden going, wait a second, I'm supposed to play this 2 times? It's just gonna feel so bizarre and strange. And so we're not going to fall into that trap. We're going to start working on the repeat now. So when you practice this, you'll play the first 2 lines, both hands together, but you'll actually do it twice in a row. Okay. We'll start getting used to that this week. Let's see. Did want to double check your right hand rhythm on measure 5. So if you have your music near you, on measure 5, the right hand starts on that E and then goes to the 8th notes, right? Let's see if I can move this over so you can see the piano a little bit. Sorry for all the Cloverfield stuff going on today. Okay, so if we do, let's see, I'm going to start from measure 3 and play from measure 3 all the way through measure 5, okay? Basically what we're looking for when we get to measure 5, we want to start that first quarter note a little bit sooner and hold it a little bit longer. So here's what that's going to sound like if I play measures 3, 4, and 5. We'll do 1, 2, 3. That's kind of like a weird place to stop, but there you go, right? So you can hear, I'll count out loud this time, where we are waiting for the first line to end, and then when we come in on measure 5, it comes in just a little bit sooner than we're kind of used to, and then we hold it a little bit longer, I think, than we're used to. So going from the same spot, starting at measure 3, we'll do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1 and 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then we continue all the way through the line, right? So we just want to keep an eye on that this week. Make sure that that is how we are actually going through that rhythm and that it is feeling comfortable there. And then, what else did I write down? On measure 13, oh, this will be an easy fix. So on measure 13 for your right hand, and this could have just been a fluke in the recording that I got for today, but for measure 13, you are actually going to play 2 A's in a row when you get to measure 13. So again, I'll start a little bit farther back. So if I'm starting on measure 11 for right hand, pay attention when we get to measure 13, how it's going to sound. So we'll do measure 11. 1, 2, 3, and 1 and 2. Here we come now. A again. Right? So when we get to measure 13, you'll have a first A as the quarter note, and then we play another A to start that 8th note pattern, okay? So one more time, measures 11 through 13. Here's how it'll sound. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and 1 and 2, 3. 1, A again. And then we go on through the line, okay? So hopefully that makes sense there. I think, again, if you're paying attention for that, or if you even want to circle that first A just to draw extra attention to that when you play through it, I think you will be good to go. And then the left hand for the ending looks great. I wanted to play for you the 3rd line so you can hear how the rhythm is going to be changing a little bit. If you notice, we actually in the 3rd line have these quarter rests that come first on beat 1 of every measure, which is a little on the unusual side, right? So especially when we are in a 3/4 time piece, beat 1 is the strongest beat of each measure, and the poor left hand has to sit it out each time on this line. But because we have those rests in there too, it's actually going to change a little bit how we feel our way through that line, because we need to not only not play something, but also come off of whatever we had before. We got to leave the space and actually hear the silence there. So if I start right at measure 9 for left hand, here's what that's going to sound like. We'll do 1, 2, 3. So rest, 2, 3, rest, 2, 3, rest, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you can tell it kind of changes the whole approach there because we have to not only wait, but we have to leave the silence there. So we'll include our rhythm, especially for that left hand on the third line as we work on the hands alone stuff this week. But we'll see how we're feeling with it next time and if we want to try and start putting a little bit hands together. Great work on that one. And then, oh, that book is going to fall, so we're going to not put it there. All right. So then for Hannon, we just had the ascending pattern going up for number 7. You did an awesome job at taking a look at that. I know that last measure for right hand is kind of tricky with the finger change there, but you did a great job trying to keep track of that. And then when you remembered where you were, did a perfect job. So both hands are looking great. Why don't we go ahead and try putting that together for this week? You will have that shift in a different place for each hand. So as you go through the measure, remember your left hand has the move kind of halfway through the measure, and then your right hand moves when you kind of start the new measure. Give it a try. If it's not coming together very easily or very cleanly, that's okay. You can just take a break from it, go back, run through each hand by itself one more time, and then give it another try the next day, okay? We're not really too concerned about this. We just want to give it a try, see how it feels, and we will go from there, okay? Alrighty, I think that is everything. So have a great rest of your week, and I will see